In. Face tracking. Zoop, zoop. Dance tracking to, like if I, no, I'm just kidding. It doesn't go vertical. But that's the next big thing. We need to invent that dance tracking, right? So it not only goes sideways, but also up and down, right? When you get down, it will track you as well. All right, very cool. And then, all right, so very good. So this is, all right. Well, somehow this prefers to stay on top, but that's all right. Okay. All right, so we have some kind of tracking going on. All right, now people. So, like I said, so basically, the exam is December 10, right? Now, I need to go back over 3B because 3B, I'm not seeing what I want in 3B, right? Um, I'm not seeing what I want for 3B. So let's go back over 3B, what it is I need from you. Um, Now, like I said before, just following the format. Just following the format gives you 70%. That's it. Just following the format, right? People, when people tell you do something like this. All right, anybody ever heard of the idea of reinventing the wheel? What do we mean when we say reinvent the wheel? Hmm? What does it mean? Reinvent the wheel, right? The wheel is one of the most perfect things on earth, right? Wheel is one of the most perfect things on earth. Now, you talk about 3 or 4 industrial revolutions. But one of the biggest ones was the invention of the wheel. It's a very The wheel is an extremely underrated thing. See, after something is invented, it looks obvious, right? But before, it may not be so obvious, right? The wheel is one of the more the wheel, this very simple thing. Look at this super, super simple thing. Has made one of the biggest contributions to mankind, to humankind, right? Humankind, not just mankind. Anyway, the point though is I'm giving you a wheel each time, people. And all I want you to do is to paint it. Paint it right on it, right? Etc. etc. Maybe change the material, right? Maybe change the rubber, right? Etc. etc. Right? Like let me see if I can find. There's people trying to come up with a better wheel, right? New bicycle wheel shape. There's people trying to come up with a new. All right, check out this guy now. Why? Why, right? Why? You can't improve the wheel, right? No. The only thing though is you can do things like new run flat tires without air. You can change the way you make it, right? So this is still a wheel, right? But it's still the same round wheel, All right, let's look at the wheel that I gave you guys. Don't reinvent the wheel, people. Don't reinvent the wheel. Sometimes master students think that they show a lot of intelligence by doing certain things, but coming up with your own format doesn't show. It's not a good thing. It does. Like some people think, okay, if I do it a different way, it shows I'm independent. I'm an independent thinker. I can come up with new ways of doing things. I don't have to follow your baby steps, right? But people, I want you to follow what I'm doing. First part is the current business model, right? You're gonna give me 3A. All this is 3A. It's just 3A that you did properly. The difference is you're gonna have red borders around. You're gonna have red borders around the tasks, activities, tasks and decisions that you've taken out, right? And also, of course, the data repositories, the data stores, right? That's the only difference between part one and 3A. Cool? All right, very cool. But I need it. I need to see what are you taking out of the previous model. Cool? All right, good. Then part one is the re-engineered diagram. This is the main event. This is the core of really what we're doing, right? But the idea is it's going to be a version of 3A where you've added and deleted, right? So you've taken out some stuff which no longer exists on 3B, on part one. Sorry, right? The stuff that is in red should not be here on part one. There should be some new stuff that has green borders, right? And very importantly, you're going to have either an enhanced swim lane for the system, right? If you already had a system, or you're going to have a new swim lane for the system. In some people's cases, it might be two systems. In the case of the Wi-Fi in Basista's group, we have two new swim lanes. This represents a swim lane, right? You have a local program that's installed on the user's machine. That's a new swim lane because that actor, you have this new actor, which is that local program installed on the machine, on the user's machine, right? You're going to have a set of activities related to it, right? And then you also have a new swim lane in the case of the personal chatbot, which is going to guide users in terms of troubleshooting their Wi-Fi problem. Everybody with me? Right? Now, in the case of the two new swim lanes, all the activities obviously are going to have green borders because all the activities are going to be new. Make sense? Right? See, that's why I'm wearing a green shirt today, right? So it can reinforce the color green, right? But this is army green, right? Not tricolor green, right? This is army green, right? Anybody seen that movie Amaran yet? Hmm? You guys not gonna see the movie? What happened? Is it a North movie? That's why you people don't not gonna see the movie. Is it a North movie? Is it a South movie? Huh? Is it North or South? Is it Bollywood or Tollywood? Huh? Where is it made? It's not a Telangana film. All right, you know what? I'm gonna stop talking about this movie. But it's a good movie though. It's a very good movie. It's a very good movie. Shows the sacrifices that people make to keep you free and keep you not only free but also safe. There are some bad people out there doing bad things. And it takes some rugged people to make sacrifices to keep you safe from these bad people, right? That's the point. All right, but anyway, so part one is the re-engineered diagram. And on part one, you're going to have some new tasks, new decisions, and possibly some new data stores, right? And these are going to have green borders. So it's very important to understand this. You will only have stuff with green borders on part one. Yeah? and you'll only have stuff with red borders on part 0. You bother with me? Remind me again, part 0 is which diagram? The? Exactly. What used to be 3A, right? What's another name for 3A? The what BPM? Current. Exactly. Current BPM. Exactly, right? So the red borders are only going to be on the current because we're taking tasks off of the current. And then the green borders are only going to be on the re-engineered. Yeah, yeah. The new, right? The re-engineered, right? That's where we're adding tasks, right? All right, very good. Now, in between, you can have a optional part. So like you'll get a little extra credit for this. In other words, if you add it, right? And it may also explain things better to me. In case I'm missing something, I might see it better if you do it where you combine them. So the optional part is where you have both red and green. This is a mixture of, but remember, this is optional. You do not have to submit it. If it's going to confuse you, don't submit it, right? If it's going to confuse the issue, don't submit it. But this has both red and green border stuff, right? Um, right? Right? It has both red and green border stuff. Has both red and green border stuff, right? Red, observe Wi-Fi problem. We're taking that off of 3A, off of the current, because we're saying that users will no longer need to observe the Wi-Fi problem. Neither will they need to try to resolve it. Yeah. Instead, we're putting in a program, a little local program, hence the new swim lane, new actor, new swim lane, which will monitor the Wi-Fi constantly. And if there's a local Wi-Fi problem, then it checks whether there is a known outage. And if there is, it notifies the user. So the user still does task 8, which is to receive outage notification, right? Um, and then there is a personal chatbot where um, they're still going to try to troubleshoot it in a sense. This number 2, try to resolve, is really kind of substituted by this personal chatbot where you load the Q&A page of the chatbot, right? And it helps the user to figure out if they're using it properly, right? And if not, inform them of the current usage, right? And if they are using it properly, then that means there is a genuine Wi-Fi problem, and that means they will inform tech support. So again, log complaint is substituted by this inform tech support thing, right? So again, red border for log complaint because this is where tech support gets notified of the problem, right? And it's substituted by this green border inform tech support activity, right? Etc. Etc. Any questions on 3B? We're going to do an example. We're going to do another example, which may or may not get. I'm not going to post it because it will only. What I realize is when I post 2 examples and they're slightly different, it confuses people. So I'm not going to post another example. All right. The last part, probably the most important part, is the discussion of the re-engineer business process. Now, here you're going to discuss the changes in the context of the KPIs, right? In the context of the KPIs. So you're going to go KPI by KPI, right? All right. So you talk about, some of the problems that you're experiencing, right? Right. You talk about basically. So this is kind of the technical reason why you're re-engineering the the model, re-engineering the process. Sorry, creating a new process model, right? All right. right? So the problems and the solutions, right? This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do. We'll install a new Wi-Fi monitoring program. We'll detect Wi-Fi connection problems, slow or patchy Wi-Fi. This will notify the user promptly, right? And it will have the benefit of allowing them to try using their own personal hotspot, for example, if they have a hotspot on their phone, right? You know the hotspot that comes with your phone, right? All right. Or some people might have it. I know we're trying to keep a tight budget, but yeah. So problems, solutions. Now we go KPI by KPI, right? First KPI, reduce time to recognize Wi-Fi problem. Yeah. So in other words, every change that we make must be linked to a KPI. Bear with me. That's the other problem I'm seeing. People are just saying we're changing this to that. They're not linking it to a KPI. Yeah. You got to link it to a key performance indicator. Every change must be linked to an improvement in efficiency or the effectiveness, right? So KPI 1, we cut task 1 to 7. We cut task 1 to 7, right? Observe, try to resolve, submit, um, receive complaint, log complaint, known outage, notify user. We're cutting out all of this. It's going to be replaced by the locally installed Wi-Fi monitoring software. Yeah. So we say that, wait, hold on. So we say that, hold on. Did I close that file? Oh, let's bring that up again. Sorry about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, see, here it is. Here it is. We cut task 1 to 7. Cut task 1 to 7, which is that the user observes a Wi-Fi problem, tries to resolve it, submits a complaint to help desk. Help desk receives a complaint, logs the complaint, checks whether there's a known outage, and notifies the user of outage, right? So we said we replace all of that and replace them with tasks A to D, which are in yellow. Monitor Wi-Fi. This little program is monitoring the Wi-Fi on your behalf. It knows there's a Wi-Fi problem before you do. Yeah? Because it's constantly pinging the thing and checking the internet speed. Right? And it's creating a bunch of solutions for you. Right? Because first big one, of course, we talked about is that first big one we talked about is the fact that if the user must figure out that the Wi-Fi is down or so, it may take hours to figure out that the Wi-Fi is down or very slow, right? A little bit of repetition here. Downloads may not complete. Emails may not be delivered. So all of this is happening without you even realizing, right? Because it's when you try to do something specific that you realize that, oh, there's a Wi-Fi problem. But the Wi-Fi problem is causing problems for you all the time, right? So, so the point is replace it with this little local program, which does A to D. Monitor, figure out whether there's a local Wi-Fi problem, see if there's a known outage, and if not, notifies the user, right? Etc. etc. And so this is linked to KPI 1, reduce time to recognize Wi-Fi problem, right? So you save the user's time. KPI 2, reduce time to troubleshoot, right? Wi-Fi problem efficiency. Oh, and KPI 3, reduce frustration from Wi-Fi troubleshooting. Frustration from troubleshooting Wi-Fi problem. So it may not be obvious. I'm sorry if this was not obvious, but all of this yellow stuff is related to 2 and 3. Yeah? So reducing the time to troubleshoot the Wi-Fi problem. Can you guys see this yellow stuff? Probably not very good, but anyway, the point is we're cutting tasks 9 to 11. Tasks 9 to 11 are the initial troubleshooting by the tech support, figure out whether the user is using it properly, and if not, informing them of the correct usage, right? So we say for KPI 2 and 3, we are cutting tasks 9 to 11, replace them with tasks E to G, right? Which is load Q&A web page, inform check out, yeah, figure out whether it's using it properly in form of correct usage, right? All right. So that's all you need to do for each KPI. All right. So you're gonna do a general narrative in terms of what is changing, right? And then you're gonna tie it back to the KPIs, the specific change, what you're cutting, which should have red borders, and what you're replacing them with, which should have what color border. What color border should be the thing, the tasks that are replacing the old tasks? Green. All right, very good. Let's do an example. Let's do a quick, brutally quick example. Somebody give me their process. Who wants to give me their process? This is gonna be quick, dirty, rough, right? Quick, dirty, super rough. All right. Quick, dirty, super rough. Somebody give me a process. Nobody has a process they want to talk about. Three side. What's your process, man? ITS? No one on laptops. No one on laptops. Sorry, laptop. Okay, each one laptops, the professors. Okay, 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 okay. All right. So first task is what? What's the first task? What's the first task that happens? Hmm? First task. So the prof does what? You see, this is the thing, you're skipping a whole bunch of stuff here. So the first thing is that I think the first thing is that the GTA asks for laptop, right? Right? All right, very cool. Then, then there's some kind of discussion with prof about specs, right? Yeah. All right, very good. Then finalize finalize type of laptop, right? Right? About specs, right? Right? Then they submit a request. You agree or you disagree? Submit laptop request, right? Specs based on task, right? Right? All right. Then they submit the request. Now, okay, so in between you have some stuff going on here, like you have let's insert some arrows, right? Can you guys see these shapes? Can you guys read what's in there? All right, very good. All right, very good. All right, all right, right? So turns out this is 3A, current process, right? So note this very, very carefully. 3A, which is a current process, right? All right, very cool. All right, very cool. All right. So now we get a. Now I'm gonna kind of make up some stuff here. It's not gonna be exactly like what he has. It's gonna be check inventory, right? So let's move this down a little bit so we can do some swim lane stuff. Let's make some swim lane business, right? Insert shapes. This is prof student, right? All right, very good. Then we're gonna have over on the text side, gonna have the laptop management people, right? So we have ITS laptop management, right? Again, we're going to take some certain liberties because we don't have the time to kind of get too precise, right? All right. So remember, these are swim lanes up top, right? This represents a swim lane. All right. So they submit. Let's put in an elbow connector here and connect it up here, right? Let's make it nice and thick. All right, very good. Right? So maybe they do something like input laptop specs, right? And then the system is going to check the inventory, right? Can you guys read what's going on here? Can read okay? All right, very good. All right. So input laptop specs, and then let's put this over here, right? Input it into the system, and the system is going to check the inventory, right? So let's make this yellow, right? So check inventory. And then maybe we have a decision here, right? We have a decision here that looks something like this. Let's insert a decision. Let's insert a decision. Let's make it yellow, right? And say um, specs available. So in other words, it's done a search of the laptops that are available, and it's looked for the specs, right? And it says specs available, yes, no. People, I'm trying to make this thing as practical as possible for you guys, so that there is no guesswork, right? And then you have yes, no, yes. Then we have a notify, notify laptop, notify searcher, notify manager, right? Good. So the manager gets the notification, receive notification of availability, notification that it's, well, actually of availability, right? So technically, in reality, this should not really be a decision because it's simply going to notify the person of this results, right? So there is no decision here, right? There's no yes, no involved. It's simply going to tell them whether it's available or not, right? And then maybe this person will notify the person based on whether it's yes or no, right? Will notify the professor based on whether it's yes or no, right? Available, um, yes, then approve request, right? And issue laptop, obviously, right? Or maybe say send um, approval notice, right? And then, having received the approval notice, then they'll simply come and pick up the laptop, right? Remember, I'm making up a whole bunch of stuff just to speed things up, right? Um, right? So send approval request. That's if it's available, right? And then the person pick up laptop, right? So no, if so this is a green. If it's a no, so it's going to be red. Then send. Maybe they'll if another ask for alternate specs, right? And then having done that, they'll do another search. All right, let's work with this so far. We're not trying to do their work for them. Cool. Teresa, you're gonna do the work, right? You don't need us to do it for you. Huh? Yes or no? Huh? Yes or no? You're gonna do it. All right, very good. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, not terrible. So this is 3A, current process. Cool. Let's compare it now to what 3B will look like, right? So all we're gonna do is I'm gonna save this. We're gonna save this 3A and we're gonna open it again. Oh no, no. So that's not gonna work. It's already open. So what we're gonna do is let's go back to the downloads. Now, people, remember, once you clear 4, 3B, and 5, you're basically home free. It's gonna take you 2 minutes to ask ChatGPT to generate some stuff for you, right? So 6 and 7, deliverable 6 and 7 are more kind of informational, kind of like this is what the thing looks like, right? Nobody's gonna nobody's gonna generate a acceptable use policy. They have tons of acceptable use policy generators out there, right? And then also typically, your lawyer's going to look at it anyway. So you just need to know what it looks like and submit it, right? All right, very good. So let's go to downloads and we're going to call this 3B, right? This is 3B. Part is part 1. 3B. Re-engineered BPM, right? All right, very good. This is 3A. Part 0, which is 3A, also known as the current BPM, right? Current process, right? So I want you to be very clear of what we're doing here. so we don't have confusion, right? Let's save this, try again. All right, let's reopen it. So we have a comparison, right? And let's open part one. So now for part one, which is a re-engineered, we say, by the way, let's do this. Outline dashes. All right, we know that the things at the top are swim lanes, right? All right. GTA asks for laptop. Discussion with prof about specs based on task, right? Finalize type of laptop. Submit laptop request, right? Watch what? Watch what's going to happen this time. We have AI that can determine the best specs. So we're going to take out, this discussion about specs. All right, actually, what we're going to do is a transition diagram, which is the optional part, right? We're going to do the transitional diagram, which is a part optional, right? So let's do, right? Outline, weight, let's do. Instead, no, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do a blue outline. I think the blue outline is where we changed it, right? Discussion with prof about task. Bam. That's all they're going to discuss. Yeah. And anything that's changed, we have a blue outline, right? They don't finalize the type of laptop. So this gets a red border, right? This gets a red border, right? Right? And instead, they simply submit the laptop request, right? Right? They simply submit the laptop request. Maybe we should still have the oh yeah, I think how I did it was I also put these with like a dashed border. I think what I did was I put a dash border to indicate that the path was broken, right? Yeah, I think that's what I did, right? So they're no longer going to decide what type of laptop, what type of specs. They're simply going to submit a laptop request, right? Now, again, we're no longer going to input laptop specs, right? Or should we do this discussion with prof about task? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to also give this a blue border, right? So we're going to give this a blue border, right? Instead, this time we're going to input laptop requirements, right? Or laptop task, right? And then instead of receiving a notice of availability, because with the first process, what was happening is that if that spec was available, then we'd say yes or no. Yeah. Instead, we're going to suggest, we're going to use AI to suggest the best match based on what's available, right? So it's not no longer a yes no thing. Because the idea is that before you would have a loop. Okay, this is not available. Try something else. What else do you think will work? Give us more specs. We search on the database. If it's available, we say yes, we give it to you. If not, we say, okay, try a different spec, right? Now, in real life, I mean, it wouldn't really work that way. You would, I mean, somebody would intuitively, what they'd intuitively do is kind of look at all the specs that are available and kind of use their brain and say, okay, this looks like it will work best. This is a 4070 GPU, which will work as good as a 3070 Ti GPU, right? Or 3080 Ti GPU, right? But we're pretending for the sake of, we're pretending that the human being who is managing this doesn't know any kind of, doesn't know anything about laptops, doesn't understand laptop specs, right? Just for the sake of, just for the sake of this demonstration, right? All right. So input laptop requirements. This time, we're not going to get a, so we give this a red border. We're not going to get a notification of availability. We're going to get a notification of best match, right? All right. So, wait, hold on. Oh, wait. Input laptop requirements. Okay. Okay. So this time, what we have is we have a AI thing, right? We have the AI checks um, I don't like the fact that I'm saying the AI is doing this. Because you're not supposed to say who is doing what. The fact that it's in the swim lane says who is doing what, right? All right, I'm going to do it. I was going to do it the quick and dirty way. I'm going to do something slightly different, right? Because I want to do the thing properly. I don't want to contradict myself. All right, I'm going to have the AI advisor, laptop advisor, right? So we have a new swim lane. Like I'm telling you, you may need a new swim lane, right? So we have the AI laptop advisor, right? So you input the laptop requirements, right, to the AI laptop requirement, to the AI laptop advisor, right? All right. So this is new. It's a new swim lane, orange, orange, didn't exist over here, right? Right? Yeah, man. Sorry, boy. Right? So new swim lane for the AI laptop advisor, right? So you input laptop requirements, AI analyzes, and it what it does is analyzes database for closest match, right? And then what it does is informs, notifies uh, closest match, right? So remember, this person we used to check inventory. That's not going to happen anymore. See, because the AI laptop advisor is going to check it on their behalf. Cool. So we have a red border, right? Right? You're no longer checking the border. The AI laptop advisor is now checking it, right? Check inventory for match, right? Check inventory for match, right? All right, very good. So notifies of the closest match, right? Right? There was a link here, but what we're doing now is we're giving it a dashboard, right? To show that that link is broken. Used to notify the manager. Now that's still done, but this time we're notifying of closest match, right? So check inventory for match, notify manager, input laptop specs. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, good, right? All right. So this has a red border because the laptop management system is no longer doing that. In a sense, the laptop management system has just become kind of a dumb system, right? All it is now is kind of a database. Is how we've done it this way. So this time, what we have is notifies closest match. And this time, what we have is send approval notice. See, something is always going to be available. So this is our red task. This is now our red task, right? This is now our red send approval notice. Maybe we can reuse this task. Send approval notice. All right, we're going to make it a red task because now instead of sending, let's call this, instead of sending approval notice, right? We're going to say that oh, this should have been red, by the way. Right. We're going to say notify of closest match. And what we're going to do is ask professor if acceptable. Right? So in other words, before the professor determined the specs. Before this, the professor determined the specs. So the professor determined the specs, right? Finalize specs of laptop. Let's make this a little bit clearer. Specs of laptop, right? Finalize specs of laptop. If we change it on one, we have to change it on the other, right? So before, they were finalizing the specs of the laptop and then submitting laptop requests with those specs, right? 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 With specs, all right? Let's make this very clear. With specs, right? All right, very good. Then the laptop manager would input the laptop specs, right, into the system, which would check to see whether those specs, those exact specs were available or not, right? And then would notify the manager of availability, right? All right, very cool, right? Of yes, no availability, yes or no availability, meaning is available or not, right? Right? All right. Check inventory for match, and we have to do it. Do this the same over here. Has to be the exact same thing over here, right? So that we don't create confusion, right? So we're not notifying of yes, no availability anymore. We're notifying of the closest specs, closest match, right? We're notifying of the closest match, right? All right. So those all of these all of these things with oh, this used to go up to here, right? So anything with a dash means that path no longer exists. Anything with a red means that the task is taken out, right? Remember. Okay, good. So again, these are red border tasks because they are no longer done, right? All right. What we have instead is GTA asks for laptop, discuss with the professor about the task. So we have a change from discussion with prof about specs based on task to discussion with prof about the task itself. They are no longer going to give the laptop manager specs, right? Instead of finalizing the specs of the laptop, they simply submit laptop request, right? Based on task, right? Right? So again, we should really say that this has changed, right? So give it a blue border from submit laptop request with specs to submit based on task, right? All right. All right. Okay. So from there, submit laptop request based on task. The laptop manager is going to input the laptop task requirements, right? So again, it's changed from input laptop specs requirements to input laptop task requirements, right? Now, people, remember, I'm re-engineering and demonstrating how the thing works at the same time, right? So bear with me, right? I'm re-engineering his process and at the same time demonstrating how I want it to look, right? All right. So don't expect it to be like ultra smooth. All right. Cool. So red borders means they're no longer done in the new system, right? All right. Now, these should have green. What color border should these have? Where the AI analyzes database for closest match. What color border? Green. Yeah. Right. Right. And this will similarly have green. Right. How we doing on time? Not super great. All right. Then we have. I don't know why this is in red. It should be green. Right. So now instead of asking, okay, yes, instead of saying whether or not it's available, yes or no, right? Because we're not doing a yes no availability this time. Ask we're saying ask professor if the specs, if closest match is acceptable, right? And if so, then they pick up the laptop, right? Now again, this should probably be in the form of like a yes no type deal. In other words, where this should really be a question, right? But for the sake of time, we're making it into a task instead of a question, right? We're assuming yes. All right, fine. Sometimes I just like to do things the right way, honestly. Closest match acceptable. So this is a red, let's give it this fill so we can distinguish it from the green border, right? Right? So yes, they pick up the laptop, right? Cool. All right, we're missing a part, which we're gonna have to do in like 2 minutes because you guys are about to pack up, right? I mean, I'm not gonna upload this as an example because it's gonna confuse people. But I'll upload a video. All right, finally, um, problem um, trying to match exact specs is not good because prof and student don't really know what is available in the database and they may not know what the new specs are. Solution. AI advisor, AI laptop advisor will use the task description to find the best match in the inventory, in the laptop inventory database, right? And then KPI one, we're going to do one KPI because we're out of time, is simply, and these would have had numbers. So for example, one, oops, 1, 2, 3, right? 4, 5, right? 6, etc. Right? Um, and so what we have instead is KPI 1. Tasks. Tasks. Task 3 is removed. Task 4 is changed. All right. Let's see if we can get that up real quick. Task 3 removed. Task 4 changed. Task 5 changed. And task blah blah blah, right? And this KPI is about removing frustration, remove delay in finding appropriate laptop based on closest match, right? Because before we had back and forth to come up with the best laptop specs which were available. Babe, Okay, so that's it. We're out of time. That's what I want you to do for 3B. Yeah? If you need attendance, please come see me. Mukesh, what's going on there? All right. All right. Give me 1 second. So there. I'm gonna finish this is is lots of back and forth to come up with the best laptop specs which are available, right? All right. And then solution AI laptop advisor will use the task description instead to find the best match in the laptop inventory database, right? Instead of allowing the laptop manager to search based on specs, right? And the KPI one is actually, let's say more something like this: reduce time to find laptop, right? And how did we achieve that? By removing task 3, change task 4, change task 5. And let's do a little quick thing over here for the people who are going to watch this. And let's just call this task, we just call this 11, right? Let's call this 12, right? And let's call this 13. I the number 13. All right, let's call it 13 so we don't confuse people. Yeah, the number. So yes or no, right? And add task 11, 12, 13, right? New swim lane is added with AI laptop advisor, orange, right? Um, right? So it looks kind of more like and this is part one, no, two. Well done, you. Part two, right? Our discussion of how KPI improved by changing BPM, right? All right, so that's part two, so that people can follow it on the video, right? This is part, no, well, this is part one. Part one. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, part zero. Part, no, actually, guess what? This is actually part optional because it has both the transition. Yeah, yeah. Optional transition diagram, right? Because it has both the red and the green. We actually didn't create part two, right? Which is a re-engineered. To get the re-engineered, all you'd have to do is just take off the ones with red. Yeah, and leave the ones with blue and green. That's all you need to do, right? We're saying this for the benefit of the people online, right? Very cool. So that's part optional, right? And then we had part one and well, part zero, right? Part zero, right? Also known as 3A, is the current process, right? Part optional transition diagram. And if we give me 1 second, guys, and we can save this as part two. re-engineered BPM, right? And then to get part two, all we'd really do is to take off the reds, yeah, and take off the dash lines of things that are no longer done. See? And this becomes part two, re-engineered diagram, right? See, this is going to be available for you guys to watch as well, too, so, all right, give me 2 minutes. Come on. And then, see? So, GTS for laptop, I have a discussion with Prof about the task, submit laptop request based on task, input laptop task requirements, right? Analyze database for closest match, right? Notifies closest match, right? The AI idea here is that the AI laptop advisor understands laptop specs much better. All right, then comes back to the ITF's laptop management, which is why it's in the swim lane with green, right? Right, very good. And then it's simply gonna ask, yeah, right? And we should give this a green because the idea here is that it's acceptable. Um, and if it's not acceptable, then guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna tell the laptop to go spend your own money. Yeah, right? Buy your own laptop. Exactly, right? Because every yes also has yeah, exactly. I know a man who is listening in class, right? And blah blah blah. And there's blah blah blah. And that's basically it, right? So that's part two, re-engineered diagram. It only has blues and greens, right? Here's 3A, current process. Um, oh, so 3A should actually also have some reds. Because you have to say what is actually um, yeah, the third, yeah, exactly. It becomes red. This becomes red, etc., etc. Right? All right. So in reality, let's put it this way. Put it this way. The optional, in reality, what you'd really do is you take the optional one, right? And you would again delete the stuff in green. You delete the stuff in green, right? So you would. So give me 1 second, guys. I'm coming. I'm not trying to be mean. Um, oh, I think this was the optional part two. Okay, give me a second. Oh yeah, part optional transitional diagram, right? And then remember, this is helping you guys too, so don't bother with the whole heap of impatient stuffs, right? All right, let's try this again. To get part zero, all you'd have to do is to save it. No, that's a re-engineered. That's not the transitional. That's the re-engineered current BPM. Wait, hold on a second. Part optional. Nope, I have something wrong here. This is the re-engineered. Give me 1 second, guy. Part zero, current, right? Then we have part one, re-engineered current process. Hold on a second. to get, so of course, remember this is part 2, right? This becomes part 2 discussion of KPIs, right? And then transitional engineer, no. All right. Well, the point is this: you take the transitional diagram, which has both red and green, and then you would save it as part 0, and then you simply delete the things with green, and that's how you get part 0. Yeah. 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 All right. Let's finish this recording and let's do some attendance stuffs. All right. Let's